We can see it great.
Excellent. Let's start with this here. Perfect. So hello everyone. Again, I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for attending. Thank you, Q, for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. I want to do, the topic is what happened at BrainShare of today's big webinar. So what I will do is I want to share with you what we shared with the attendees of BrainShare. The topic of our session was the enterprise way of communication. Groupwise, the communications hub. That's our topic. That basically describes what Skypro is doing. Again, my name is Christian Karch. I am the COO of Skypro USA. I run the US office. My contact is, you can see right now here. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to send me an email. I'm more than happy to assist you with any types of questions, anything you want to know about one of our solutions or about the company and so on. Before I start talking about the enterprise of communication, just one or two lines on Skypro. Skypro is a Swiss-based software development company. We have offices, our headquarters are in Switzerland. We have a big development center located in Eastern Europe. And we have a sales office here in the United States, located in the wonderful Bay Area of near San Jose, California. Well, I think that's enough for the introduction. Let's get right into it. And Skypro's focus on communication. So we know in today's world, people are online all the time. People have very many ways to communicate amongst each others. There are social medias coming in. Voice over IP is taking a big piece of today's communication. Also, existing communications methods or channels, as we like to call them, like faxing, are still in many businesses are still crucial, and they're still an important part of the daily businesses. And then there are other ways of communication, like text messaging, that are more and more becoming important to the enterprise world. So I want to do in the first overview what our focus on communication is. Skypro's focus on the enterprise communication pieces are enterprise fax. Faxing is not dead, as we found out. There are still many customers, many businesses that strongly rely on faxing. So one of our focuses is integrating fax into today's making fax available with today's standards, with today's ways of technology, how technology works. Voice over IP and instant messaging, very important communications channels today. Most big telephone vendors offer voice over IP telephone systems. While using voice over IP, there are many opportunities opening up, and we see it as our duty to integrate voice over IP with your Groupware platform, meaning with Groupwise, integrating voice over IP into the email system, as well as instant messaging. Many companies some companies use their own instant messaging service. Others use existing services, XMPP-based ones like Skype instant messaging. Novell Messenger is being used in a lot of companies. Also, the Skype voice piece is used. So we at Skypro, we integrate all these ways of communication, voice and instant messaging into Groupwise. And last but not least, enterprise text messaging. Sending a text message is not what it used to be, or it's not being used the same way it's used 5 years ago, 6 years ago, where you had a simple text, yeah, let's meet for dinner, let's meet for lunch, or what's on TV tonight, or kids talking. No, text messaging is being used for way more, has found its way into the enterprise world. Many businesses are using text messages to send out notifications to customers, to partners, reminders. Some use it to advertise things. Others use it to remind people of meetings, of some promotions that are going on, etc. So text messaging as well, in our opinion, has found its way into the enterprise communication, and that's why we also had a focus on enterprise texting, and hence we have created a product for that. So altogether, what we do is we do unified communications for Groupwise, and as you heard, I usually said enterprise communication, unified communication. These are the terms that unified communication term used very often. Nobody really knows what it means. Hopefully, after my presentation, you will know what we see as unified communications. What, in our opinion, is the most focus on it is on the enterprise side of unified communication. So this graphic here shows very nicely what we want to do, or what Skyper is doing with Groupwise. We have Groupwise in the middle, and we plug in all the other features that aren't within Groupwise yet to make sure that Groupwise becomes the communications hub. We feed your Groupwise with information, with history, with everything that you do with your phone calls, all the instant messaging texts, all the conversations you have had with your colleagues or your friends, all the faxes you've sent or received, conference calls you've had, Skype interactions with other people, and text messages. All this information, we are saving it right into Groupwise. They will be saved like you save emails, and they will be assigned to the people you actually had conversations with, or you had these interactions with. Meaning, if you send a text to let's say I send a text to Q, afterwards if I go to Q's contact history, I can see this very text being in the history. I can see all the phone calls I've had with Q, all the instant messaging exchanges we have had, even telling me on what instant messaging platform we've had the conversation. So all this data should be in one communications hub, which we think is Groupwise. Moving forward, I'd like to go a little bit into detail on our faxing solution. And by the way, this currently has to some it might seem like a surprise, but the Fax Solution is our best-selling product right now. So, although to some customers faxing is it's old, it's not non-existent anymore. To many other businesses, it is very crucial. It is still an important part of business, and we think for businesses that still are faxing, take it to the 21st century. Make fax in a way that we use technology today. So, having single-purpose fax machines all over businesses, all over your buildings. People have to walk around, pick up faxes. You have to print them. You have to pay paper all the time, ink, and so on and so on. Then when you have to printed out faxes, you have to store them in binders and folders, and you need rooms and rooms to keep it all archived. This is not the way anymore. We think the solution is FaxWise. Our Fax Solution is a soft fax solution that helps you dealing with faxes handling faxes like email. The next slide here shows us actually how FaxWise works. It's a layout of how it functions. So we have a FaxWise client, as we can see on the left-hand side, that is on top of your users that are supposed to send and receive faxes. They have a FaxWise client, a plug-in to Groupwise, where they can send a fax directly out of Groupwise or directly out of any Windows application they have running on this machine. They can send a fax. They will receive faxes into their Groupwise mailboxes. The client also, other than the client, the other piece of the FaxWise installation is a FaxWise server that we can see on the right-hand side here. The FaxWise server himself is nothing else than a Groupwise user, meaning once you install the server, you have to connect it to a fax modem or a fax board in order to communicate with the outside world. But as soon as you receive a fax, the server will deal with it. He will do the routing internally. He will see who is the fax for, and we have intelligent routing where I'm going to go in a little bit more into detail right in a bit. But everything, as soon as the fax arrives to the server, internally it will be handled like an email. It will use the Groupwise way of communication inside your organization, meaning you don't have to worry about opening any ports, anything else. You just have it internally as an email. So the FaxWise server, when he receives a fax, he will distribute it using emails. How does it look? What does FaxWise? How does it integrate into Groupwise? We can see on top here, there's some new icons. Once you installed our solutions, you can just click on it and pop up in your window to create a new fax. You can right-click any email and respond to that with a fax or forward that as a fax. What will pop up is a FaxWise Client, as we can see here, where you type in fax number, receiver names, and etc. Or you can access your Groupwise address book to access your contact data and then send the fax directly to the people you mark within your address books. And it can be one or multiple recipients on every fax. Also available in FaxWise templates, meaning front page templates. Let's say you have a company with multiple departments, and each one of those departments, they have different front pages of their faxes, the title pages. They can all be created and managed, and before the folks send out the faxes, they can just choose what template they want to use. Attachment to faxes is as easy as drag and drop. You take any type of document, drag it into the FaxWise client, it will convert it and then send it out. The attachments are either sent as TIFF files or as PDF files or whatever you prefer. And there's options to choose from. Also in FaxWise, of course, the server component that we have. Server components this is a very straightforward with a easy to use interface server piece. It runs on a simple Windows server, and on the server itself, you have a live view on your fax lines. Let's say you have a fax board with eight fax lines. You have in real time, you can see what happens to your fax lines, who is receiving, which line is sending, which line is receiving. You can see the fax traffic. You can see history of fax traffic. You can see the incoming and outgoing faxes, and you can manage your templates. Also, what you can do on the server, of course, you can manage your fax extensions, meaning all your fax users. You can give them a DID, an MSN DID. You can add a fax extension to your fax users. Meaning, if you want to send a fax, and again I'm using Q as an example. Let's say I want to send a fax only to Q and to no one else. So I will type in the main fax number, hit a pause, and then Q's extension 005. And this fax will only be distributed to Q's mailbox only, and to no one else. So I can add this security feature that important faxes that are only meant for a certain amount of people will go to their mailbox only and will not lay around on a fax machine for half a day, or in worst case for days, and people walk by and read information they're not supposed to, and so on. So on the fax server, we can decide what's happening with the faxes, where will they be distributed to. I can also say faxes are going to one or to multiple mailboxes. I can also tell the server to print faxes on network printers that are somewhere on our environment, which is really making things a lot easier and helps people going a lot greener than they were before. Also, the fact that you can use a fax board versus a single process helps you save a lot of fax lines versus the usage of multiple fax machines. Once you have, let's say we had a customer that they had 159 160 fax machines in place. That means they had 169 fax lines they had to pay for. At $30 to $40 a month per fax line, this is a significant amount of money. Now they are using a fax board, and they have, I think they have 48 fax lines. So only here you can see the monthly savings on the amount of fax lines is significant. So FaxWise really helps saving a lot of headache, makes the faxing more secure. And one of the added bonuses you have, because faxes are being internally managed like email, also the archiving piece of faxing will be a lot easier because you already do have an archiving solution for your emails. You probably just add a little bit of a memory space for the archiving servers, and you have your faxes saved as well. I don't know how it is with questions. Are there any questions here so far? I cannot see that.
Let me look and see if there's some questions here. 1 second here.
And while we look, I will firstly, for the first time, I will mention FaxWise, same as all our products, there are free evaluations available, and we do offer support and training during installation and setup of the evaluation system. So if anyone would be interested in evaluating the Fax Solution, let us go to our website or get in contact with us, and we will help you. We will do a remote session. We'll help you setting everything up. If you don't have a fax modem, we'll even send you a modem, and we can start evaluating right away.
Okay, and it doesn't look like there's any questions right now. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put those through on the chat and the Q&A, and we'll get to those. So,
perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will try to make sure after if I finish with every product, to make a little stop and see if there's any questions. And again, at the end as well, we'll have some time for questions. Perfect. So moving on. Voice over IP and instant messaging. As I mentioned in the beginning, we see this is the voice over IP and instant messaging. These communications channels probably have grown the most during the last couple of years. Everybody knows what voice over IP is thanks to Skype, most likely, and everybody now sees the advantage of these systems and wants to have them for the enterprise versions of it. So we bring you GWTalk. And GWTalk is not just another soft phone client. It's we call it a multi-channel communications tool. And if we're looking at this slide here, this probably will explain you why it's a multi-channel tool. GWTalk that we have here in the middle is capable of communicating with any voice over IP server you might have. Let's say you have in your environment, or your organization is using, in one office they're using a Cisco call manager, the other one is using an asterisk phone system. You can connect to multiple voice over IP telephone service that you have within your environment, or that you have in any other way you want. You can at the same time connect to multiple instant messaging servers. Any XMPP compatible instant messaging service you can connect to. You can connect to multiple at the same time. You can also connect to your, for instance, to your Novell Messenger. You can integrate Novell Messenger into GWTalk. One of the most important connections you have with GWTalk, obviously, as we have with all of our tools, is the connection to Groupwise. So you will have a connection to your Groupwise server, to your Groupwise account, where you have the ability to look at all your Groupwise address books. All your Groupwise contact data will be available, accessible to you within GWTalk. And the GWTalk client will send recordings, all the phone call history, all the events that you have, all phone call notes, and of course instant messaging history, and all these types will be written into Groupwise. So you will have all this information, the communication history that you have had, within Groupwise. GWTalk also integrates with Skype, both with the voice and with the instant messaging pieces of Skype. So you can use the GWTalk interface to make Skype calls, to make Skype instant messaging chats, The advantage, obviously, will be afterwards, everything will be saved into Groupwise, meaning you have your Skype chats in Groupwise. Another thing that we can see on the right-hand side are GWTalk services. By default, GWTalk offers a voice over IP account as well as an instant messaging account, meaning everybody who installs GWTalk gets an account on the GWTalk servers, both for voice and for instant messaging. This enables all the GWTalk users around the world to have an additional channel to communicate amongst each others. We call it giving the Groupwise community a voice and a way to text to communicate instant messaging amongst each others. Also, one feature that GWTalk has is the ability to send simple text messages. We will see more of it here when we look at the GWTalk client, the way it looks. Here we actually see the whole client as big as possible. We can make it smaller. We can take away the addressed pieces here, where we can see on the left-hand side, the right piece next to the phone part, we can see there's several address books. There's our internal address books that you have. There's contacts, and we can see availability of these contacts on ICQ, on Skype, on their phone systems, on internal messaging systems, on Novell Messenger, and so on. I see messaging windows when I communicate with people. Automatically on top, I can always see on what platform am I talking or am I chatting with these folks. On the very left-hand side, I can see the phone piece of GWTalk. I see SIP. That means I have a connection to at least one telephone system. Oh, something went rather wrong here. Here we are. SIP, that means I have a connection to my phone systems. Instant messaging, I am connected to instant messaging services. I can see a colored Groupwise symbol, which means I have a connection to Groupwise. And of course, on Skype, we see the Skype status, which I can just, by clicking on this symbol, I could change my Skype status at any time. I can make recordings by clicking on the record button. I have 1 through 6 here. These are my phone lines. So I can have 6 phone calls, and these phone lines, once they're active, I can transfer the phone calls, I can forward a phone call, or I can create a telephone conference. So that means I can create conferences simply by right-clicking my mouse with up to 7 participants very easily. I have a search field where I can search throughout address books for contacts, for phone numbers of everyone I have, either from my Groupwise address books or from my local address books. I can, as I mentioned, we do have access to Groupwise address books. We can display online address books within the address book section here. We can import Groupwise address books, and we can create local address books as well. GWTalk is a very, very powerful tool, and it's very useful. It's simply just a great tool to use, and we'd be happy to have you test drive it, evaluate it with us, be part of it, see how it works. Same like the Fax tool, it is available to evaluate, to test, and again, we would be more than happy to remotely give you some support and training when you want to set it up, and so on. This was a few words on GWTalk. Let's see if we have any questions so far. Here we are. Q, are there any questions at this point?
Let's see. I don't see any that have come through yet. So yeah, we can just go ahead and continue. Once again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them through on the chat and the Q&A.
Excellent. Well, we are moving on. Last but certainly not least, our enterprise text messaging solution, Sky SMS. As I mentioned beginning, texting has finally found its way into the enterprise world. More and more we receive text messages not only from friends but also from the business side of our lives. We get reminder text messages where we receive, for folks of you who were at GuavaCon, or maybe who were at BrainShare and just didn't have time to see our session there. Novell and Guava used this very tool to communicate updates on what's happening during these trade shows with their attendees via text messages. So there was updates to when the keynote starts, when the last session ends, and whatever we had. I think we gave away we gave some prizes away using text messages, all done with Sky SMS. Again here, looking at how it works, how Sky SMS functions, looking a bit behind the scenes. Same as in our Fax Solution, there's a client component and there's a server component. The client is plugging into Groupwise as well. It's a Groupwise add-on that sits on top of Groupwise, and once I'm in Groupwise, I can just click create a new text message, and I'll have a window popping up, which will be my client, where I can simply type in a message and then choose recipients and have more possibilities. We'll see that in just a bit. The client as well is using the Groupwise system as a transportation layer. We have the Sky SMS server also sitting somewhere in our environment. The server himself as well is a Groupwise user, meaning he has an email address, an internal email address, just like the FaxWise server. In fact, the FaxWise server and the Sky SMS server, they can share the same user account. They can have the same email address. And so that means in the big picture here that, again, internally everything is email. We already have our emails secure. The emails get delivered, they are archived, and so on. So everything internally is an email and will be handled like one. With the only difference in our mailbox is that if it's a text message, we'll have a different symbol. It's not an email symbol; it's going to be a text messaging symbol. The Sky SMS server itself, he is connected to our SkyPro Sky SMS services, meaning you have an account with us, accessible through SkyPro's website, where you can purchase credits or take credits for your Sky SMS server in order to send text messages. That means that the SkyPro Sky SMS services will be your text messaging provider. You will be sending out text messages through that service. The service is very easy accessible. You will have your whole texting history. You'll see how much messages you have left, how much you have, how the costs are, how much the costs are for text messages, and so on. Let's look at the Sky SMS client. This window pops up when you click on creating a new text message. Very, very straightforward. You either type in a name or a number in the to-line, or you just open up your phone numbers from your address books. Your Groupwise address books will show up, and you can then just double click on the folks you want to send a text message to. They will be listed here. You can create your own lists, your predefined sender lists that you have. You have templates that you can use for the messages. Many customers want to use Sky SMS as an alert system in case, let's say, you have a school district and one morning there's a big snowstorm. School will stay closed, so you can have a predefined message. You just send it to all the parents and all the students. No school today, and the message goes out immediately, and it goes out via text message, which is obviously a more powerful or a more efficient way than sending out an email early in the morning so that people know what to do. In any way, text messages are the message that you want to send to the recipients gets through quicker than with any other way of communication. And like gets through quicker, I don't mean that they receive the message sooner. Physically, an email gets delivered in this maybe even a little bit quicker than a text message. But the thing is, with a text message, you are bound to 160 characters at one time, and as soon as the message that you want to deliver, being no school today, or meeting starts in 30 minutes, or appointment then and then, this message, by reading the first couple words of the text, you know what the other person wants to tell you. You get the message, and when you get a text message on your mobile device, it vibrates, it rings, it does what it does when you receive a text. By nature of buzzing around in your pocket, you look on it to shut it off. But at the same time, you read the first 3 words, and boom, you got the message. So the messages will be delivered a lot faster than they will be with sending an email or trying to make a phone call. And when you make a phone call, they cannot pick up, or they missed the phone call, then you have to wait until they reply to you. So the fastest way to deliver a message is texting. What else can we see in the client here? We can see delivery reports, and we can see journal, meaning once you send the message from your group or from Sky SMS, you can ask for either a report that if the messages have been delivered or not, or you can also ask for a journal, meaning the journal will be a summary of, if I'm sending out 500 messages, I can request a journal, and I will see a summary of all those 500 messages that were sent, which ones were delivered, which ones got stuck, or where do we have a wrong number so they couldn't get delivered. So I will immediately know what happened on the client side. Now on the server side, we have the Sky SMS Server, where here, I don't know, it's probably not the best, not very readable, or not too readable, but I can explain you. On the left-hand side here, we have our users, our text messaging users, all the people that are allowed to send text messages in our environment. And we can see some number counts here on the right-hand side, meaning all the people that are allowed to send text messages. The administrator has the possibility to define limits for the users. So let's say they have a marketing or a sales manager. He is allowed to send 5,000 text messages every 30 days or a month. So we give him the limit per month. He has X number of text messages to send. Then we have other folks that have less or that have even more, and so on. This also helps us very, very nicely to plan our budget. We know the cost of the text messages. We know who needs to send how many messages, and then we can plan budgets very, very nicely, and we can have control over it and check it very easily. By clicking on one of the contacts, we can see on the right-hand side, we can see the messages that have been sent. We don't see the content, but we do see where the message has been sent to, who sent it, on what day. We can extend those views accordingly to the timetables on the bottom. Adding text messaging users is as easy as opening up our address books, or Groupwise address books, and just add the users that we want. Or what we also can do is we can just add them manually, typing in username, user email address. The email address in this case is crucial because the Sky SMS Server, when he receives an email with the text, he will check the email addresses, the sending email address, and he will see if this person is a user or not, and then check if there's enough text messages left. And if there are, he will send a text message. If not, he'll either send back a message that the credits are, the person has no more credits, or we'll just ignore it because he didn't know the sender. Again, Sky SMS, like our other tools, is available for evaluation. There are free evaluations available. anytime you would like to test it, let us know. We will help you via remote session, setting it, installing and setting it up, and training you a little bit on how it works. This brings us back to this slide, to the conclusion that our goal and our mission, Skype's mission, is to consolidate all communication in one place, and this one place to us is Groupwise. Adding telephony, texting, Skyping, conferencing, faxing, and instant messaging, all these channels, all these ways of communication, we see the need to be competitive to other platforms of creating turning Groupwise into that hub. That's why we have our tools. When mentioning other platforms, currently our faxing and our text messaging tool also are compatible with Gmail. Next to be compatible with other platforms, the next platform that we will be compatible with will be Exchange as well, coming next year. And then also with the with GWTalk, we will have integrations with Gmail and Exchange after that. But our main focus always was and always will be Groupwise. Skype is a Novell shop ever since we exist, and our focus is Groupwise very clearly. That's what we want to do. That sums up the presentation from my end so far.
All right. Once again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put those through in the chat or the Q&A for Christian, and we'll just give it a minute here and see if anyone has any questions.
Absolutely. Let me go back here to the first slide where there's my email address in case someone has any further questions or would like to see, liked what he's seen and thinks, oh, all right, I might just want to go ahead and test the faxing or the texting, or I want to try look how it is to make phone calls through Groupwise. We'd be more than happy to get you up and running. Also, Q mentioned it before, GWTCon this January. Do not miss it out. We will also be there. We will, as usual, we will bring some sweet treats from Switzerland, and there will be very many interesting things to see at GWTCon. I know things around Groupwise. There's going to be some announcements from Novell, interesting announcements about the future of Groupwise, and so you really don't want to miss this. If possible, join GWTCon this January in Torrance.
All right, perfect. I don't